ladies and gentlemen, broadcasting live from high atop Scott's social media studios in the heart of the Cedar City, just outside America's Music City. This is SEC Football Review with your hosts, Michael Clay and Jared Scott. Take it away, Michael.
All right. What's up, everybody? How's it going, Jared?
Doing well, my friend. Doing well. Very excited about this football weekend, man. This is going to be a good weekend. Got a big lineup ahead of us. Looking at a lot of chump change games too, though. What are we looking at here, Michael?
There's a few, nobodies that the SEC's playing, but then there's a few. I mean, LSU Auburn obviously is a big time.
That's going to be a big matchup, man. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about what, number 12 LSU versus number 7 Auburn. I mean, this may be one of those that determines who's going to be looking at a berth into the Big Four games, isn't it?
The college playoff, and it's nice early in the season. That's probably what's great about college football is every game does matter, and having a good matchup I guess this is the third week now. It's pretty nice to have for the fans, and it's a big time. It's a big deal. So we'll see. That's an exciting game. Alabama Ole Miss. I mean, you'll say it's big time, but I'm not sure. I think Alabama. I don't know if Ole Miss has.
You really
defense.
Think that's going to be a blowout today, Michael? I don't know. I know we always build Alabama up. Of course, I think last time we talked, I talked about Austin Peay too, and looked like a complete idiot, right? So when I sit here and I say, do you really think that Alabama's going to blow them out? Something deep down in my heart, I'm the big fan of the underdog.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see an Ole Miss just really kind of take it to them. I remember back in the day when Vanderbilt would put it down on people, and you're like, holy crap, Vanderbilt's in the last quarter, and they're almost going to win this thing, and then they'd always screw up at the end,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, everybody loves an underdog, and if you're not an Alabama fan, then you're probably pulling against them. I think they're like any great teams in any sport. Yankees, Lakers, whoever's winning, LeBron James haters, if you're not for them, you're against them.
Poor LeBron.
So I think this is the same deal. Anybody wants to see Alabama get beat if you're not an Alabama fan. Sorry, Alabama fans, but I'm sure y'all already know that's the truth.
That's par for the course. I mean, I remember back in the day, when Tennessee was on their streak back in the late 90s, I know.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's like, oh, my gosh, it's been forever since Tennessee's been somebody special. But, it was always the thing. Whoever's on top, that just puts a big, huge target on your back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And everybody wants to take you out because if whoever takes you out is going to be the big name. That's going to be the exciting, oh, man, we just jumped into the top 25 for taking down Alabama, So, that makes those games a little bit more exciting. So let's go ahead and start the breakdown here,
all right.
Michael. Want to make sure everybody knows what times everything's happening. All those East Coast broadcasters, they love to talk about Eastern time. But guess what? We are the show broadcasting from Central, from right outside of Nashville. And so we're going to talk about Central times today, looking at the first games right out the gate. I mean, what are we looking at here, Michael? We've got, 11 a.m. Central. We've got 3 big matchups or 3, oh, my gosh, why are we even watching these games?
I see probably all 3, oh, my gosh, why are we watching these games? But the smaller schools are getting paid to play these games. The first one, MTSU at Georgia, and they actually moved this one up to 11 o'clock game. I think it was going to be a night game or late evening or early evening game, but they moved it up.
A lot of this is centered around the storm, right?
Yes.
I mean, the hurricane that's
Hurricane Florence. I don't know how close it's going to get to Athens, Georgia, but
better be safe than sorry. We
right.
want to make sure that those folks who are in the SEC are taken care of. We want you to know that you're in our thoughts and prayers, and God willing, the storm will be more moderate than what everybody was anticipating. I remember whenever we had to make those changes to games in Florida. I remember those hurricanes that came through Florida, and they had to make all those modifications. And I remember back to Hurricane Katrina, back whenever we were talking about, hey, we got to make modifications for the LSU games.
Yeah.
And we want safety first, right?
Yeah, that's right. And there's a few. I think one or two games the SEC's been affected, or they're reaching out to help others today that have been affected. But back to this MTSU Georgia, I think if you're MTSU, don't get Stockstill hurt. That's their quarterback. You know, they got a conference to win outside of these non-conference games, and Georgia's going to run away with it. I think the spread here is, as of yesterday in my paper here.
Oh, here goes the paper. Oh, Michael pulls out. What is that? The Nashville Tennessean?
Yeah,
Michael? Good old
Tennessean.
I hate to put a spot in for the Tennessean, but apparently you want to do that every day, and that's okay.
They do something good for me every now and then, and one is the sports page is still decent. 32-point favorite Georgia is.
Wow, 32 points. So what does MTSU need to get out of this game? Do they just need to score a point? Is that what needs to happen?
No injuries. I don't know. I'm talking no. Don't get anybody, your starters hurt. And that may sound bad, but I mean they have other. They're going to get the money. I don't know what they got paid, but I'm sure they got a couple million or $1 million or so.
So what does Georgia need to get out of this? Do they just need to get that 30-point win there and walk away?
Yeah,
and go home?
look crisp, look good.
Send your starters in, showcase what you got, scare the other teams a little bit. Don't show off too many secrets, while at the same time, finishing out strong, and then letting your second string and third string get some time on the field. Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, and that's a good experience for them because never know when they get in the meat of the schedule when those guys got to step up. Somebody gets hurt.
Right. One hurt on the roster, and all of a sudden now you've got to pull somebody from the under ranks. And if you're not in Alabama, you don't have four guys deep that can all play on the SEC level.
Yeah, that's right. But I will say Georgia's getting there. I think they're pretty deep.
When you look at a number 3 ranking, you don't get to a number 3 ranking by not being deep.
No.
But it never hurts to have those extra guys out on the field playing and practicing.
Oh, yeah.
And treating it like a good, legitimate, hey, this is some good experience. So now this one's being broadcast on ESPN News. Is that correct, Michael?
Yes. Yeah.
So how can people watch this game if they wanted to watch some Georgia slaughter here, Georgia takedown?
Well, if you have DirecTV or Dish or probably any cable provider, I think ESPN News is in your package more than likely. So it should be. You can find it in your guide.
Is there something on the internet where people can get access to this as well?
Well, yeah, ESPN, what they call ESPN3, you can go online and they have
get that
connection.
Games. Yeah, get that connection.
Yeah, I think you just got to sign in. I'm not sure if there's payment or not.
Let's go ahead and look. We got coming up next after that, we got Murray State at Kentucky. Murray State's in Kentucky, is it not?
Yeah, Murray, Kentucky.
So is this going to be one of those things where Murray State says, hey, I want to try to take out, it's almost like MTSU versus Tennessee, right?
Yeah, it's one of those, yeah. It's an in-state, I won't say rivalry, but it's like a big brother helping a little brother out. We'll give you a game. And kind of like, Vandy plays TSU. Like you said, Tennessee plays MTSU sometimes. It's one of those. We'll help you out, and I think the smaller school, they get up for these games. I don't think Murray State's going to win by any means, but
come on, Michael, you don't think Murray State can get up for this game enough to make a little scare for our friends in Kentucky?
No, they'll be up for it. I don't know if the talent level though is there to get them.
Are you trying to tell me this is going to be another Austin Peay? Me rooting for Murray State is like me rooting for Austin Peay again?
Not quite, because Kentucky did struggle with Central Michigan in the first week. They did end up winning by 15, but it was late in the game. But I don't think Murray State is up to Central Michigan. They may hang in there for the first half, but to kind of back me up there, Jared, the line, there's no line on this game.
That's always a good sign about a game when there is no line.
Yeah. And it's probably more so, though, because Murray State is I say Division II, but I think they call them FCS now and they're not an FBS, which basically is Division I, Division II.
Gotta love all the acronyms. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's take a look at, for all our Tennessee fans, being outside of Nashville, Tennessee is a focal point. It's crazy. I get online and I'm seeing people giving away tickets to this UTEP at Tennessee game, giving them away. Have we really come to that in Tennessee? I remember back in the day, every single game was a packed house. Everybody was begging for tickets. And now we're looking at situations where people are getting onto social media and saying, "Hey, anybody want these tickets? I'm not going to the game." What have we come to, Michael?
I mean, yeah, that's kind of surprising that they're giving it away. I mean, nowadays though, the comfort of your own home, and these games, every one of these games now are on TV somewhere. You can find them, and you can find this one on the SEC network. But that's surprising. Tennessee fans are pretty diehard, so it's a little surprising to hear that. But I will say, and I think this is a good thing, going back to Hurricane Florence, I read and heard that UT, because they have extra tickets to this game, the school is giving away tickets to any evacuees from North Carolina, South Carolina. All they have to do is show their license that they're a resident.
There you go. There you go.
That's pretty cool.
Helping out our neighbors. You
Yeah.
know, that's good stuff. I don't know that they want to watch a UTEP versus Tennessee, but if they need a little break from the action that's going on at home, and that's it's always tough whenever you're talking about. Mother Nature doesn't care whether you're white, black, Asian. American Indian. Everybody is affected mutually and equally the same. And I think back to the recent morning of 9/11, and the amount of outpouring throughout the United States in times of suffering is incredible.
Yeah.
And, it's very, very inspirational. Very inspirational.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. And it's nice, you're like, oh, good for you. They didn't have to do it. And I mean, obviously if it was UT Florida, I'm sure there's no tickets to give away. But I mean, it's a good gesture, and you might sell an extra hot dog or two that you weren't going to sell. So
well, and who knows? UTEP, I'm going to root for another underdog. No, I'm not going to root against my boys at Tennessee. That's never going to happen.
I was about to say, you went to UT, right?
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking, is Michael going to check me on this one?
Yeah.
It's like, no, I would never do that,
Well,
my era with my boy Peyton back in the day, Peyton, if you're watching and listening, we love you, man. It's
he is.
Miss you, man. We'd love to see you come back and maybe hang out in Nashville a little bit and help out with the Titans, who could desperately use your services right now.
You know what? I that's funny you say that. To touch quick on Peyton, I think he's just relaxing. I mean, where you don't hear a whole lot. He hangs out in Knoxville, goes supports them, and then.
Did you see the clip? They had something online where they showed a video of this old folks home, and Peyton is at the old folks home. It's like a commercial or something for somebody, and Peyton's running around the old folks home telling all the old folks what to do, and they're like, "Why are you here?" "Because I'm retired."
Yeah. And you know what? Good for him, man. That's awesome. He can just make commercials. Get a spot on Saturday Night Live every now and then.
That's right. Do fun stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Peyton, you're welcome to come do fun stuff with our Titans, and maybe hang out on the show if you ever decide you want to come to Nashville. I know Michael and I would love to have you as a guest on the show.
So it's an open invitation, Peyton Manning.
Open invitation, Peyton. Come on back home anytime you want, brother.
The spread on that's 31. UT covers, I think. UTEP is dead last.
You think that there's some advantage here to Tennessee running up on somebody like a UTEP like this?
Yeah, I think so. For UT's rebuilding, right? New coach. They're going to treat this as any other game they need to win. And
I mean, does it make Tennessee look like bullies if they run the score up, or does it make them look like rock stars if they're able to rack on so many points that it's just crazy?
I'm sure fans will have their opinions, but to me, I mean, you're a football coach. They're working on, these guys are first-year coaches. These players are new to them. Coaches are new to the players. So they're probably just working on seeing what they got from top to bottom. They'll get their second, third string in.
Run the plays.
Yeah,
make sure everybody understands their positions. Everybody performs the way they're supposed to perform.
They're
The
looking.
guys-
This is a business deal for This is a time to see what they got, work
That's right.
on things.
Time for you to get out there and hustle and make it happen.
Yeah. Oh,
Show
yeah.
us what you can do, and that way you have an opportunity to maybe come in the first string slot occasionally.
Right. Florida's next week for them, so this is prep for that.
Oh man, that's going to be, that's a rivalry that you would have thought wouldn't ever get to the level that it's gotten to. Where we talk about, hey, we're going to face off a Tennessee versus Florida. It's still a big matchup.
Yeah.
But man, it's just nothing like it used to be.
Well, I don't know. We're looking for next week yet. I would like to know this. Florida, Tennessee next week. They're probably both going to be unranked. I wonder when the last time that was. It might have been here recent. I don't know, but
That's
curious.
Rare. We'll have to check that out before we lead into the show for next week.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at the rest of the matchup. So we're looking at, of course, as the day goes on, the games get more interesting because now these are the hot games. When you start seeing NBC and CBS as the broadcast networks, you start knowing that, oh my gosh, this is a game I want to watch. Right, so now we're not talking about games that are fan-based only. These are like serious national showdowns. I don't know that Vanderbilt is ever going to be a national showdown level whenever they're not ranked, and Notre Dame is ranked number 8. I mean, we're talking about a 1:30 Central Time showing on NBC nationally. Can Vanderbilt actually showcase some SEC talent today? We would love to see that. Do you think that they have the power to do that and maybe make Notre Dame look up and go, oh my gosh, is this, I didn't see this coming?
You certainly hope so. As a fan, I hope so. I kind of think they will, just based on last year. With they started out 3-0, had a big win against Kansas State, who was ranked at the time. Now I don't think they turned out to be as good as everyone thought, Kansas State. But Vandy beat them. It was big time, night game, nationally televised. Then they come out, Alabama the next week, and then Alabama just crushed them. They hurt their souls. I mean,
so
and I think
is this going to be a situation where if Vanderbilt does actually win this, it hurts them next week because then they go in confident and they screw it up.
They got a chance to win this game, and I think Mason's not going to. I think if he's a decent coach, which I think he is, I think he has probably told his players all week, that don't think you've made it like last year, because they thought they were going to give Alabama something. Talking a little bit, I think one player even on TV after the Kansas State game said, "Alabama, you're next." And we all saw.
Yeah, and that's almost like, hey, if I'm in the backyard and there's a beehive hanging from a tree, I'm gonna go poke at the beehive.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
No,
Not a good decision. And it's great that you come out of a win, but if you're gonna come out of a win, and then you're gonna make things happen, make it happen on the field. So that means that this week before you go, you better be running your plays. Mm-hmm. You better be looking at footage. You better be ready. And I would love to see Vanderbilt, but when we're looking at a number 8 Notre Dame, does Notre Dame get favoritism when we talk about rankings or what?
Yes, I would say they do.
Now, I mean, I know you and I are talking about SEC, and we're big SEC boys, but when we talk about Notre Dame seems to be this magical place. And if you look at their recent history, what has Notre Dame really done? Have they even been a national championship contender? I mean, I can't even remember.
It goes back to the days, a few years, 10 years maybe. I can't remember. Maybe not quite that long. They had the linebacker, and they played Alabama I think it was before the college playoff, but Alabama just destroyed them. And it was the linebacker, I can't think of his name, but he made up a girlfriend story. I don't know if you even remember.
I do remember that foolishness.
Yeah, but it was during that time that Notre Dame, I think, was the last time that they were seriously in contention. And I want to say they played Alabama it wasn't college playoff, but it was a big bowl. I don't know if it's Orange Bowl.
It seems consistently that they're always in the top 25, and then I don't ever remember them ending that way. And maybe it's just my memory. Maybe it's just that I'm kind of biased because they seem to think that Jesus loves their touchdowns or something.
Yeah.
But you know,
it's Catholic school and the touchdown Jesus that they got, which is pretty cool to see. I went to a basketball game there back in the early 2000s. And
so,
before.
Michael, you're telling me that you've seen touchdown Jesus?
Yeah.
Oh my
in person.
goodness, man!
In person.
I'm kind of jealous right now.
No, it's pretty. That campus.
See, now I sit there and I bash Notre Dame, and now I feel kind of jealous that you've seen touchdown Jesus and I have not. That's absolutely terrible. That's terrible.
It's pretty cool, but no, I mean, listen, Notre Dame's the only school that has a deal with a national network to show their games every Saturday. So there is favoritism there. I mean, it's NBC. They're in it. That's why they're not in a conference, because they have that deal with NBC. If you can't have a separate deal with a network if you're in conference, and I mean, every one of their games is shown on NBC every week.
So now we don't have any other. I'm just curious. You know, while we're on this subject, I've never thought about this. Are there not any other independent teams? Is Notre Dame the only major conference, major level team that's independent?
Major, yeah. You have Navy, Army. I think Air Force is in a conference, and there's a couple others that are independent, but they're smaller schools. I mean, unless I'm missing one, I can't think of any other major.
You know, if you're watching the show, be sure to make comments. We'd love to hear your feedback on correcting our foolishness. You know, this is a little bit deeper than, you know, we're talking about things that are not SEC, right? So. Speaking of SEC, let's get back to some serious matchups.
Yeah.
Anytime you see the game that's on CBS, that is the SEC game of the week, is it not, Michael?
Yes, it is. And before we jump to there, I just want to get my pick out there. Vanderbilt, Notre Dame. It's 13-point spread. I think Vandy covers.
Yes.
Not sure. I'm not going to say they win. They have a chance, but they cover the 13. I think it's a close game. 21-10, something like that.
Oh, he's even picking numbers.
Yeah, I'll give you a score. I think 21-10.
That's one of Michael's teams, isn't it, Michael? You know, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's, you know, those of us who are on the show. You know, the problem is that we all live right here in the area of Nashville, and so we do have some bias towards our Vanderbilt and our Tennessee. It doesn't help the fact that I've got degrees from both schools. So. But anyhow,
you may have bias towards UT. I don't.
Oh, there we go.
as a true Vandy fan,
Michael clears the air by being a true Vandy fan. He says a true Vandy fan. I love it. All
and
right. Michael, I think you need to take some of those M&Ms right now.
Yeah.
That's going to be your reward for being a true Vandy fan.
Just no orange. Uh-oh.
No oranges? You don't want any oranges?
No.
Did you get a whole bunch of reds? Those dang.
No, I got 2 orange. I'm going to put them back.
Oh no, you can't put them back. Just leave them on the table. I'll come pick them up later.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to eat those oranges.
Here, gold.
Oh, he's got some gold. Them gold nuggets in them
Black
hills.
And gold.
Gold
and not Notre Dame
hills.
gold.
Not Notre Dame gold. There you go. Okay, so when we look at that matchup, right? I mean, we're talking about LSU versus Auburn. Auburn is ranked number 7. Holy crap! You know, LSU has been traditionally a very strong team, but you know, I think back to the Les Miles days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't Les at LSU?
Oh, yeah.
That was his heyday, and now I'm sitting there going, you know, how did LSU become number 12?
Well, I mean, LSU has talent. That area, there's talent there, and I think that's the knock on Orgeron, who's the head coach. They're not sure he's head coach material, and I don't know how it fell in his lap. I mean, he was the defense coordinator and whatnot, and that's how it fell into his lap. But when he was at Ole Miss, that was his first head coaching job, and it was a joke. I don't think, but he won 1 or 2 SEC games, conference games in 3 years, maybe 2 or 3 years.
That was at Ole Miss, huh?
Yes, Ole Miss.
Anybody who can take Ole Miss to win SEC games, I guess they're a good coach then at that point, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. And then, you know,
those of you Ole Miss fans, I'm sorry. I just, you know, I'm feeling the pain and suffering
Jared's
right now.
Teams today.
I'm feeling the pain and suffering as a Tennessee fan right now. I'm really hurting. My heart breaks, and so I must take out my abuse on all the other folks. So it is what it is.
Yeah, that's right. No, LSU. It's a mystery. They looked great against Miami. I don't know what Miami has. I mean, it's a Power 5 school
Wasn't
in the
Miami?
first week.
Wasn't Miami? Yeah, I was about to say they were top 10, weren't they? They were big name.
They were ranked. So depending on what Miami has, I mean, LSU looked good in that game. They played a nobody, I think, last week. But Auburn, of course, took care of Washington. It was a close game. Washington had a chance in that first week. That was a top 10 matchup. Playoff implications.
Yeah, I think it didn't. It seemed like somebody on our panel that week picked Washington to win that, didn't they?
I think it was Mr. Luck, I believe.
I think it was good old
Tom.
Tom. Hey Tom, when you're watching the show, we like to rub it in whenever you're wrong. So, but I think Tom did pick.
I think he did.
Did he pick it to cover or did he pick it to actually win?
I think he picked him to win. I could be wrong, but
We'll have to go back and look at that
wrong
footage.
in my mind.
We'll have to go back and look at that footage. But
Yeah.
When you pick against the SEC, honestly, it's almost like you're kind of picking against. I hate to use this word, picking against the tide. But when you, I mean, when we talk about our teams in the SEC, I mean, they're having to compete every week in, week out, and you're consistently seeing situations like this where we're talking about an SEC versus SEC matchup.
Yeah.
LSU's number 12. We're still, both of the teams are in the top 15.
Oh yeah, and really, this will affect the college playoff. Auburn can't lose. They got Alabama coming up, at the end of the year. So I mean, it's a big game for them, and really a big game for LSU. I mean, they win this.
I'm happy that we're in the college playoff situation now. I remember back in the day when it was just, hey, you've got to win every single freaking game to go to the national championship.
Oh yeah.
And the mix up now where now you can be in the top 4 and still have some kind of contingency. One loss is all you really can be afforded, though. And with Auburn and LSU, what makes us even better, they got Alabama. I mean, obviously it's not an automatic loss, but oh my God,
you lose.
You're starting to sound like it is. You're really starting to sound.
Well, I mean,
you're talking about the Iron Bowl coming up, man. I mean, Auburn versus Alabama. If you look in the conference right now, the 3 teams that are actually really competitive are who? Auburn, Alabama, and LSU.
Yeah, and you could throw Mississippi State. We'll see later in the year. But
we'll see about that one.
Now,
but I would say I don't feel like Mississippi State, right? And I think part of that is that you're talking about tradition and history, and I'm not being mean to Mississippi State
I think
fans.
you don't like the state of Mississippi. You dogged Ole Miss a while ago.
But let's be real, right? I mean, if you look at what they've been able to do depth-wise in the past now, and depth has a lot of play when it comes to this stuff. And I think honestly that's part of the problem that Tennessee's been running into, is that you recruit and you get some great, really talented recruits, but then you wear those individual recruits out to the bone because you got nothing else.
Well, and I think at UT, most would say, and I think most would agree, they think the coaching was lacking there. And with Pruitt, because you look at the last 5 years, UT's recruiting class, I'm going to say if it was not top 10 every year, it's top 15. But yet
somehow it still didn't
0-8 last year. So either that talent wasn't coached up or they were overrated coming out of high school.
Yeah,
one
but
or
you
the other.
can't. I mean, I would say consistently when you talk about high school recruits, those guys are being filtered through a pretty good spyglass. I mean, we're not talking that, hey, it's just you and me chatting up one recruit or 2 recruits or even 10 recruits. I mean, there's whole organizations now that are dedicated just to talking about high school recruiting.
Yeah.
And so I don't anticipate that when we talk about recruiting classes that's one of those things. I mean, there's something wrong when you recruit great recruiting classes but you can't produce results.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good balance that you've got to produce, and that's one of the things that honestly Alabama's done a very good job at. Right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's doing the balance of both recruiting. Now I've heard that Saban is just brutal when it comes to pushing everybody around him.
Oh yeah,
and that's what you've got to do in the SEC. It is what it is, right? Anyway, I didn't mean to get off track here. So we talk about number 12 LSU, number 7 Auburn. What are we looking at on the numbers on this one, Michael?
It's at Auburn. The afternoon game, 2:30 at Auburn. They're 10-point favorites, and I've heard
10 points when you've got
Yeah.
a difference between a number 12 and a number 7. That's kind of unheard of, isn't it? Usually it's a little
no,
bit
it
tighter
is.
than that.
Yeah, you would think it'd be a little closer. So either Vegas knows what they're talking about because it opened. Matter of fact, it opened at 8, and people bet that up. Now, as of yesterday, it's 10 point.
Wow.
So the spread even went up.
So a lot of people
money
don't
was
have-
coming in on
A
LSU.
lot of people don't have any faith in LSU then.
Well, if you look, if the spread goes up, means money's coming in, so they got to get money on the other side. Vegas is balancing it out.
They're running their numbers.
Yeah. So at 10 points, I'll take LSU. I think I'll have to let. It's kind of risky because
Can LSU win this game? That's the big question here.
I think so.
I mean, there's a lot riding on this for both coaches. Yes, I mean this is a big
Yeah.
name thing for them, and you talk about both of them, like you mentioned, both of them have to face Alabama
Yeah.
every year.
2 losses and I don't think you're in. There's still maybe an outside chance if you have 2 losses for the college playoff, but I wouldn't feel
So
as
is this
good.
game is this game a CBS game because it's SEC versus SEC? Would this have been the game of the week if we really were looking at the big national matchups?
Yeah, CBS picks the best. They have a deal with SEC.
Do they get
2:30.
the best SEC game regardless?
Yeah, for that, they try to. Yeah, they put that as one of the primetime afternoon games, and typically, your best SEC game is going to be there at 2:30, and then the next best. If there's 2 great ones, the next one will be I think ESPN at 6:30, 7 o'clock. Usually.
And we'll take a look at those here in just a second.
Yeah.
So your pick is LSU then? Huh?
Yeah, LSU to cover the spread.
Cover the spread. Now,
for
would you
sure.
pick LSU for a win, Michael? That's the real question here.
No, I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't go that far. But I think it's going to be close. Defensive game. I could be wrong, but
Well, you
Low
know what? You
scoring's
know
what I'm
me.
looking
You
for.
know me, Michael. I'm going to have to pick the underdog
yeah.
to win it, right? So I'm going to pick LSU to win. So let's take a look at some of the other stuff going on. We're looking at this is going to be 3 p.m. Central Time. Once again, I want to remind our viewers we are the only show nationally broadcasting in Central Time. Thank you very much. Welcome to Nashville. Hey, by the way, any fans out there want to come into Nashville? You're in Nashville partying, having a good time. If you're not still hungover on Saturday morning, you are welcome to join us on the show.
There
We
you
would
go.
love to have you. We'd love to have you.
come in
But
hungover. That might be fun.
That might be more. I don't know. I don't want anybody throwing up in the studio, Michael. So, Nashville is just such an exciting town to be in. I don't know if you've gotten a chance, Michael, but you definitely need to take your honey out to House of Cards. We got to go out there last night. It was so much fun.
the magic place.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy. My wife looked absolutely incredibly stunning last night.
Yeah.
I hate to brag on my wife too much because I don't want her to get too big of a head, but it's really cool because it's in the basement of the Johnny Cash Museum. So a lot of people don't even know that it's there.
That's where it's at. I
And
wasn't
it's,
exactly sure where it was.
It's one of those places where it tries to do the Prohibition era hidden hideaway type thing, and you
Does it have a little mystery feel to it when you get in there?
You cannot find it. The only way to find it is there's a man standing on the street with a little button that says House of Cards, and he has to point you to the unmarked door to go into the.
Oh wow!
It's very very fun. There was a couple magic guys. Anyway, I didn't mean to get off on a tangent on that. Just like I said, if you're in Nashville, there's so many exciting things to do. Please make a stop to us on Saturday morning if you'd love to be on the show. Let me know. You can call into the studio 615-237-7001 and dial 1. Go ahead and dial 1. Just leave a message, and we'll get you on the show. Okay.
All
so
right.
anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at our 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time matchups. I put these two on because this is almost like the calm before the storm, right? So the highlights are the big afternoon game and the big evening games. And so, we're looking at a Florida and Arkansas. Both of these are on the SEC network, of course. And when we look at Florida and Arkansas, these are teams similar to that Tennessee game, right? Where they've really got to use this as a honing their skills type game, correct?
Yeah, correct. I think so. But Florida better be careful.
better be careful against the Colorado State or against preparing for next week?
No, Colorado State.
Really?
Yeah, last week, Colorado State upset Arkansas, so they're going for 2 in a row against the SEC this week.
Oh man, I didn't realize that happened.
Yeah, and it was fourth quarter. I think they were down 13 going into the fourth, something like that, and they scored.
Does that put Arkansas's coach on the hot seat when they have something like that happen?
No, it's his first year. I don't think he's on the hot seat, but I guarantee you they're going to remember that in 2 years or next year if they're still not making any progress.
It's going to be you did this same crap 3 years ago or 2 years ago.
Right. It doesn't look good, but it's not hot seat. You got to give coaches a couple years to get their guys in there and get what they want taught to the play. Yeah, exactly. But Colorado State. They have their quarterback is Carter Samuels, who was the brother of Austin Carter Samuels, who played at Vanderbilt.
Really?
A little Vandy tie, a little tidbit there, yeah.
Of course. Michael's always got to throw his Vandy ties in there.
So
if only Michael Hahn was here to cheer you on. He'd be rooting over in his corner. Go Clay, go Clay, go Clay.
That's right. But yeah, so I think it's a long trek to Florida. I think it's a 2-hour difference time. No, maybe 3. Is Gainesville Central or Eastern?
So does Colorado State actually fly out there the night before, get a good night's rest before the game?
Yeah, they probably get in on Friday morning. In some cases, I know Nevada last week that came to Vandy, they came in on Thursday afternoon.
Well,
to get
it is Nashville. We're talking about Nashville.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you got to party a little bit. Come on down Thursday and party some Thursday night, right? And then make all the boys come home on Friday night, right? No. So now you know that if there's an SEC game where somebody's coming in from out of town, anybody who's in town that they want to go out and party, on Thursday night there's still a good party crowd.
So that's the reason why Vandy beat Nevada 41-10. Nevada was hungover from partying.
That's right. Hey, that's the advantage. That's the advantage that Vanderbilt has being in Nashville now is that all you have to do is get these guys to go out and have a good time. In fact, give them some tickets to some of these places. Let them get in for free. Maybe give them some drink tickets, and then have them come over to the stadium. And then Vandy gets a good night's sleep and the competitor does not.
Well, speaking of that, I missed it when we were talking about Vandy. They're playing away, and I wanted to give some as Tennessee did was pretty cool with this Hurricane Florence. Giving the tickets away. Vandy is allowing Virginia. They had to move their home game, and Vanderbilt opened the stadium up to Virginia, Ohio, to play here in Nashville. And they're playing, I believe, at 3 o'clock. And it is totally free. You can walk in and go to the game. So
you're kidding me?
No, huh? So if you're visiting from Nashville, there you go. That's something to do today. It's free. College football game, Virginia and Ohio, which I thought was pretty cool. And they said Vanderbilt has ties to the AD that obviously the schools know each other a little bit, and so they opened the doors to move it here, which I thought was pretty cool.
So I'm trying to understand. So they're going to have the Virginia-Ohio game at Vandy Stadium
today. Yeah,
today. What? And that's before Vandy's game?
No, Vandy plays at Notre Dame, so that's
why they're out.
Yeah, they're out. So
I didn't put that together. Yeah, that's
pretty cool how that works out.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's awesome, and that's really, once again, that's so exciting whenever you hear those stories where everybody's pitching together and supporting each other. It's I almost feel like that's a Southern hospitality thing. It's good.
Yeah, hospitality nonetheless. I mean, even though it's just football in the world today, there's so much going on bad.
It's good
and
to have
so it's just cool, even if it's just
other people.
Yeah. Open the doors, a free game to everybody. It'll be interesting to see how many actually come out to that game. But a little tidbit there too, if you didn't know that.
Hey, so those of you who are in Nashville want to watch some live football, Michael just got you the hookup. So,
and interesting on that, the spread for that game, I'm not picking it. It opened at 5, but because of the move, it's down to 3 points.
Wow! So it'll be a good game to watch.
Yeah, I didn't know what Ohio had. It may not, So
maybe something worth watching.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
So once you're over your hangover, folks, just head on down to the game. So, okay, so we're looking at Arkansas facing North Texas. Man, so you're telling me Arkansas is coming out of a painful loss this week?
Yeah.
So is this going to be a Arkansas walks into it and slaughters the snot out of somebody to prove their worth, or is this going to be a man, they're really in a downer right now? That's going to be all coaching there, isn't it?
Yeah, if I'm the coach, I am on them, and we better beat them by 100. If you don't, you're running laps today after the game.
You're going to be throwing up
Yeah.
for 3 days.
Yeah, I would be on them if they don't come out and play, which I don't know what North Texas has, but the spread is not. What would you think? Just off.
I would say it's got to at least be 20, 30 points.
6.5.
Oh
Yeah.
my God!
Yeah, so
apparently Arkansas's loss last week really kind of exposed their pain and suffering that they're going to experience this season, and now the Vegas folks have decided, you know what, Arkansas is not worth its salt.
it's at Arkansas. If they lose this game, okay, first-year coach may be on the hot seat.
Really?
That's what I would say.
Really?
That's
I mean,
not
but
what you.
You talk about two games where you're talking about facing off against teams that are who, right? The question is who.
Yeah, you should win, and so I don't.
Those are the give me wins. Those are the ones
Yeah.
where you should be. Those are the ones that you should have to keep your job.
Yeah, and I look for Arkansas to run away with it, but I mean it's a chance here. They could if they don't.
Well, obviously, I mean Vegas is not stupid.
Yeah, and speaking of hangovers, maybe they're hungover from that loss last week. I mean,
and in the past, I've seen a lot of teams that have taken those losses, and it goes one way or the other, right? I mean, either they come out strong and they look like they've worked their butts off, or they come out just in pain and suffering and they've surrendered the rest of the season.
I think this is a coaching deal. This is where you got to build them up. You got to have them ready. Yeah, it's North Texas, supposed nobody, but you got to have them ready.
That's right. You gotta every day. You gotta come with it. And I hope to goodness that Arkansas represents the SEC today.
Let me give you, speaking of this game, because I don't know a whole lot about North Texas football as far as where they're at right now, but there is somebody, Mean Joe Green. You remember him?
Oh yeah, Mean Joe Green.
He played at North Texas.
No, he did not.
Yeah, he did. They have a statue that they just put up for him too. I mean, they love him there.
Oh, well, maybe North Texas is the next Austin Peay.
They could be. They're not as bad. They have come on.
What does it look like in their conference? I'm curious. I hate to say that I'm not educated enough on this.
I think they're same conference as MTSU. If anybody's watching, please
let us
know.
The two teams are going to be MTSU, North Texas, facing off for the conference then.
Actually, Western Kentucky's in there. I mean, that's not a bad I think it's Conference USA.
Pretty entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
It's more of a lower tier, but it's always competitive.
Yeah. It's actually not a bad football conference. I mean, it's not a Power 5, but there's some good football there.
And, you look at a lot of these smaller schools, I feel like that they're really they're taking advantage of hey, if you come to our school, you're going to play.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot of good talent that's coming out of high schools that they're not getting recruited by SEC, and they're not willing to go sit on the bench at an SEC team.
Oh yeah,
and they love playing football, and now I don't know that there's any one of those teams that's going to come out of nowhere and honestly have a deep enough bench,
right?
Because you got to make it through a full game.
That's the issue I think with these non-Power 5 schools is they're going to hang in there. But the depth is going to get them in the end. Second half,
and
usually.
I wonder if that's one of the challenges that Vanderbilt has always had, right?
Yeah.
And that's their
that's
focus on academics, and I love the focus on academics. I think that's a great accomplishment.
Right.
But one of the challenges with that is that then your standard is so high that you can't recruit depth.
Yeah.
Of course, the conversation about money at Vanderbilt as well. I think they made comments recently. We're not investing any more in the football program.
Yeah, that was bad. They need to get, which it may change with David Williams is retiring. So hopefully, not that he has too much pull, but he was the athletic director, and so hopefully they can get somebody in there that will convince him to give them a little more, come off some money for the football program. I mean, it can be done. You look at Corbin with the baseball, he has totally redone all the baseball program. The field's great. He's got all the facilities. So
it can be done even with an academic focus.
Yeah, you just got to convince them. I don't know what kind of convincing that takes, but they are I mean, Vandy is stubborn in the fact they stick to academics. They're not changing, just for a little athletic.
So now you've got to not only coach up the players for football, but you've got to coach them up for actually graduating with some knowledge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if the coaches leave that to the professors. Obviously, they're paying those professors pretty well. That's their job.
Okay, so let's look at some of the more exciting.
Let
matchups.
me get one more tidbit here. This is going to hit a little closer to home on North Texas. There's someone. Do you know anybody personally that went to North Texas? You know anybody?
Don't tell me you. I don't think.
No, not me. I made 1 year at Austin Peay. So.
North Texas. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I know anybody personally that went.
You do.
I do. Who do I know?
I'm going to throw this out there to you. You remember Misty Blake?
Really?
Yeah. I don't. I think she graduated MTSU, but her family had moved down there, and she went a couple years and was a cheerleader.
Misty, if you're watching the show, we'd love to have you come on the show and talk about North Texas. I didn't realize, man, Misty, I'm sorry. I should know this, I guess.
We went to church. You went to school with her.
I know it.
High school,
we everything. And wonderful lady.
I'm going to put this out there. So, Jared, you don't have to say it anymore. Anybody is welcome to come on this show on Saturday
I think we've kind of made that pretty open, right? I mean,
you're inviting everybody. This is awesome. Oh, next week there's like 50 people at the door.
Well, and the thing is like there are some weeks where we are fully booked with all four hosts, but the problem is that a lot of people want to go to these games.
Oh yeah.
And when games are out of town, it makes it really, really hard for folks to come into the studio. So those of you who are fans of teams that go on the road or whatever, and you can't go on the road, you just come into the studio. We'll have you on the show. You don't think that you have to. I don't know everything there is to know about football. So
Jared, just this. Oh my gosh, next week I just got two messages. Peyton Manning just messaged me. He said, "Count me in next week," and Misty Blake.
You're a liar. You are such a liar, Michael.
Just said they're in.
You are
Can
such
you
a
believe
liar.
they're both watching?
You are such a liar, Michael.
We're reaching more people than we ever thought.
I love the way you lie to me. Thank you so much for telling me sweet nothings, Michael. I needed that this morning.
So next week, tune in. Misty Blake that nobody knows other than people from Mount Juliet, Tennessee. And then everyone knows Peyton Manning. It's going to be the best show ever.
Michael is such a liar. I just want to make sure that that's very clear. Peyton, please don't be offended by the fact that we're lying about your appearance on the show. So, and we would still love to have you. Thank you very much. But, actually, I had a friend of mine who was telling me, Jared, it's a really cool show. It's a great idea. That you don't really see a lot of this when we look at live stream broadcasting nowadays. And I think the future is in live stream, but he suggested that a lot of former players are actually living in the Nashville area that are former SEC players, not just from Vanderbilt or from Tennessee, but from SEC schools all over. And that's just simply because Nashville is such a hotbed. So if you are a player and you're watching the show, we'd love to have you on. That knowledge. Seriously, though.
Oh yeah. No.
Michael's like,
I love hearing you invite.
Jared, just shut up.
Every couple minutes,
we're done. We're done trying to beg people to come on the show. Okay.
No. Don't lose that.
Keep begging.
That's what I like about you.
Keep begging. I am a beggar when I have to be a beggar. It's but it is more fun when we have more people on the show. So, and you don't have to know a whole bunch.
You got me all to yourself. I'm no fun.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Can we please keep going so that I don't get in trouble here, Michael? I do want you to come back on the show. Thank you very much. Okay. When we start talking about 6 p.m. Central Time, right? Now we're getting into some serious business. Some of these late games are not going to be something that's all that impressive. Although I think Missouri at Purdue, anytime you talk about Purdue, I still think that's somewhat interesting. But when we talk about Alabama at Ole Miss, a lot of people think this is going to be a slaughter, right? But there's a reason why it's 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and that's because Alabama is still got a big target on their back. Is that not the case, Michael?
Oh, yeah. If you can't get ready to play Alabama, then you probably don't need to be playing. And I think Ole Miss will be ready. It's in Oxford there.
They're having to go to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Right? And the fan base at Ole Miss is pretty serious business, regardless of what their performance has been. I don't mean to say that Tennessee fans are the best fans in the country, although I am one, and I did go there and watching the big orange wave in the field, watching the big T open up, all of those things are very emotional for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
But when we look at fans in the SEC, Ole Miss fans are pretty hardcore, are they not?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're some of the best. I mean, they're not the biggest fan base, but they're just as diehard as any.
And I mean, we do see
school.
that consistently in the SEC. I'm not saying that we don't.
Yeah. Every SEC school, I'd say. I mean, obviously Vandy's lacking, but
there is some home field advantage at every single one of the SEC schools.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I thought about. Man, I'd love to be able to go to every single SEC stadium and watch a big game there.
Yeah.
Right, watching some of those big games at some of the big SEC stadiums, it's just so exciting.
It would be cool to hit every stadium.
Maybe we can get the show big enough, Michael, and then we can go
on the.
That's right. We'll take it on the road. Any SEC schools that want to have us broadcast from there, we will be more than happy to take your money and broadcast live on site. Am I sounding? I'm begging again, aren't I, Michael? I need to shut up.
Good.
Okay, so let's
good.
start talking about Alabama versus Ole Miss, right? I mean, we're talking about Ole Miss, and when we talk about Ole Miss, you know me, I'm always a fan of underdogs. It's just hard, really, to face off against Alabama in this era.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't just outright jump on the Ole Miss wagon there. I'm not sure on this one. Their defense, they play. I don't know that they have a defense. Their offense is great; they can score points, but they haven't played an Alabama-type defense this year yet. They scored last week was Southern Illinois, and they pulled away late and ended up scoring 70, but it was late third, maybe early fourth. It was 48-41. I mean, Southern Illinois gave them a run.
So the question is, does Alabama decide they need to run up on Ole Miss to really make their standings in the conference strong? Or do they even care? Are they just like, hey, we just need to win it. Let's put our second string and third string on so that we save our powerhouse players for the bigger games?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Saban wants to make sure he beats everybody. He's upset. I think he's more worried about the performance. They could win 65-0, but they turned it over 3 times.
And then this is not going to work.
He's
you're
mad.
You're going to be running laps after the game. Or
he probably punches his wife when he gets home, because he said, no, he doesn't do that.
Michael.
But I'm just saying he gets mad.
That's mean. I know he gets. I know he gets upset. No one abuses anybody.
No, okay. But
and Nick, we love you, buddy. We don't want you upset with us. We do have a lot of Alabama fans in our fan base, and we love our SEC brethren.
I mean, he jumped the reporter, right? The first game of the year, Louisville. She just asked a question. I thought it was a legit question.
But there was no physical activity.
I was joking.
Michael.
That was a joke.
That's not funny.
Okay.
We're in an era where we can't joke about those things.
I apologize.
But yes, I mean, Nick is known for being passionate about making sure
and he's
that
perfectionist. He's got to
execute exactly the way he wants you to do it, and that's why he is successful.
Yeah.
If you look at it, he pushes you to do your best. And that's an across-the-board thing. I'm not saying that it's just dedicated to college football. But one of the things that I think that separates Alabama is his push for perfection.
Like
you said.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, that's why he is the best. And if you look, all the coaches through history that are the best, they all have that perfection you got to have, and they look for and push their players to get to. And so, yeah. I mean, that's why they're the Alabama. That's why he's got them there.
So what are we looking at numbers-wise? I mean,
21 points. Alabama's a favorite on the road, which that's kind of high for a road when you're playing on the road in SEC. But that just shows you what Alabama is, and maybe more shows you that Ole Miss is not going to be up to the task, because anytime you have a home game and you're 21-point underdog at home, you're behind.
Tough to overcome.
Yeah. So I'd say it's going to be right there. I'll pick.
Is this going to be an Ole Miss prepping for next week? Who are they playing Next week, I don't even know.
I don't know who they're playing. I'm not sure, and I got it circled here. Ole Miss to cover the spread, and when I say that, I don't know that it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a late. Alabama's going to be up 24, 28 points, and Ole Miss may score a touchdown late when it doesn't even matter to cover the 21.
So Ole Miss is going to have Kent State next week, and so but they're going to need
their focus is on
that break
Alabama.
Because LSU's right after that.
Oh yeah,
and that's going to be one of their challenges, And then that was my thoughts about Ole Miss and Mississippi State. It's that side of the conference.
Oh yeah,
right now that's where all the bang for your buck is. It used to be that the other side of the conference really had some strength.
Yeah.
And they're just down right now.
Oh yeah. Well, and you're going to see the points that Ole Miss put up in the first 2 weeks. Now we're going to see what they can do against a good defense. Is it for real, or is it just we're beating up on guys with no defense? So that will be interesting.
Running up points on Southern Illinois and Texas Tech is a lot different than trying to put points up on an Alabama. I didn't realize that Ole Miss has had 2 face-offs that were not.
Which Texas Tech sounds like. I mean, they're a Power 5 school, but Big 12, there's no defense played. Me and you could be defensive backs in the Big 12.
Oh, no, I don't know about that.
Well, we could be third string, maybe.
I would love to be. Just I always thought, man, I'd be a great running back if it wasn't for the fact that I can't. I used to in high school. I don't know if you knew this. In high school, I basically saw double. I had eye issues. Had God blessed me with my muscles in my eyes being fixed, maybe I could have given some good hits as a linebacker.
Yeah. So you saw double. I never knew that.
Yeah. It was bad. It was bad.
You don't see 2 of me now, do you? That would be awful.
No, thankfully, doctors. The doctors at UT actually found it.
Really?
And figured it out and got me fixed. So, thanks to UT Med over there. So that's a
shout out to UT from Jared.
From Jared.
Not from me.
I don't know that that's worth anything, but that's okay. So let's look at the rest of the matchups for the evening. So we're looking at 6:30 Central. We're looking at Louisiana Lafayette. Is that who that is?
Lafayette.
And they're going to be at Mississippi State. I'm blown away. Mississippi State is ranked number 16, and I know you had mentioned that to me. But for some reason, I'm struggling with the shock and awe of that.
Well, they have talent left over from Dan Mullen, who is at Florida. And I think a lot of that's where this ranking is coming from, the talent that was left there. And I don't think, I can't think of the head coach's name at Mississippi State. He come from offense coordinator from Penn State. They talk good about him. And
is Dan going to make Florida into another powerhouse top 10 team again? Is coaching at Mississippi State the same thing as coaching at Florida?
No, based purely talent. You can get more talent and I think that's what Florida's hoping with the talent they can get there. So they're thinking Mullen with the talent we can get that is typically better than the talent you can get at Mississippi State. Yeah, and I think he can do it.
So what does Mississippi State look like now that he's gone?
It's going to be hard to tell because, I think a lot of the players stayed, so they have depth there. And maybe, I think Moorhead is the guy's name from Penn State that's the head coach now. If he's a decent coach, he's going to use that talent, and that will obviously help him in recruiting. And he could keep Mississippi State from falling off. And, obviously I don't think he's going to contend with Alabama, but he can keep them, second, third right there and be in the talk and maybe every now and then pull the upset.
Being third in that side of the conference, that's putting you in the top 10.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
I think that's fine.
If you can hold your own against everybody except for, Alabama, Auburn, LSU, if you can have one of those be below you.
Yeah.
Now you're in the top 10.
And I think they contend with LSU. Mississippi State does. I think
Auburn's
the clear two. Well, I won't say clear two. We'll see a little
more.
We'll
see
tonight.
today.
Yeah,
we'll see today.
But certainly certainly LSU, Mississippi State, and Auburn would probably give Georgia a run in the East. They may still be second over there, but if not for Georgia, any one of those would lead the East, I believe.
So now we're closing out the day with our two newbies in the conference, and I say newbies in the conference. I guess they're not so new anymore. Missouri and Texas A&M, they've been with us for a while now.
Yeah.
But for me, they still feel very new. If you look at the history of the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's exciting. Those are both teams that have really held their own in the conference consistently.
Yeah. Yeah, and real quick on that Mississippi State, just to kind of give you an idea, it's 32 points. So,
but there is a spread on it.
Yeah, there is a spread, 32-point spread.
So that means it's a game worth talking about at least.
Yeah, I say Mississippi State covers. I don't know what Lafayette has.
Do you think that the spread is driven by the fact that Mississippi State is number 16 and they're in that side of the conference? So now you're talking
I think
about
they can score.
Contender.
Yeah.
Because they have chances. I mean, you talk about if they go, they get done with the Raging Cajuns today, right?
Yeah.
They then face Kentucky and Florida, right? Both of those teams are weak right now, and then you finish up with Kentucky and Florida, and then you're facing Auburn.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking good.
You've got a potential opportunity to beat Auburn, a potential opportunity to beat LSU, right?
Yeah.
If the coach can really make it happen, and now that's putting the new coach at Mississippi State on the radar.
Oh yeah.
If he could win one of those, much less, you win both of those, and then even if you lose to Alabama, now you're still playing for a national championship.
Oh yeah. They're outside shot. Yeah, they're outside shot. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility to say Mississippi State can make the college playoff. I mean, certainly they beat LSU Auburn and only lose to.
So I want to point out right now, Michael, that I am talking about a Mississippi team right now. I know you were saying how I was bashing Mississippi.
Yeah. Now you've come around.
I hate to break it to you, but I think I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to really root for Mississippi State because this is an underdog. Historically, this is an underdog team that's overperforming.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, LSU is a strong powerhouse. They've been that way for a long time. Auburn consistently is a strong powerhouse, and I think part of that has to do with their animosity towards Alabama. Right. They're always feeling themselves as the stepchild. That's just the one that nobody pays any attention to. And so LSU and Auburn, that's expected of them. Right. Is Mississippi State ever expected to go to the national championship?
I don't know if they expected the national championship, but they've certainly expected to win a SEC championship here and there.
But if you win an SEC championship this year, what happens?
Oh,
you are a national champion.
Yeah,
right? You're in the national
sure.
championship category, and so I really, I think the rest of the season now I'm going to be a big Mississippi State fan.
Bulldog fan. There you go. Of the Mississippi State, not Georgia. Bulldog fan here.
A different kind of Bulldog fan.
There you go.
Different kind of Bulldog fan.
All right.
So let's take a look at our stepchilds. Speaking of stepchildren in the SEC, Missouri and Texas A&M. Now Purdue, what are we looking at in the conference for them? I mean, this is what, Big Ten?
Big Ten.
Is Big Ten even what it used to be?
I feel like they're down this year with Michigan State struggling. Well, they lost.
Vandy's boy is up there at Penn State now. What's Penn State looking like? I mean, is this something where Purdue, if they make a showing here and they beat up on Missouri, is this something that's going to put them into contention? Is this something that's going to make them special?
No, they lost to Northwestern in week 1.
So they got to do that crap.
Well, I want to be somewhat accurate here and knowledgeable. So no, they're not going to be. They're not going to be in contention. But I will say, last year Purdue beat Missouri at Missouri. This is a series I guess they obviously agreed on
a long time ago.
Yeah, so
and
I don't know
Missouri
if they play
loses
next year.
This.
But
what does it look like for Missouri? Is that going to look bad?
Yeah, it is. They're favored by 6. I don't know that it'll look bad because I mean Big Ten's a Power 5, even though Purdue's on the, I won't say bottom, but middle bottom of the Big Ten.
So Missouri loses this, and it's not going to be all that painful. It's going to be a close game. The assumption is this will be close.
2, then we'll know. If they lose, we'll know Missouri's first 2 games were beating up on the little brother or this, you know, they
Whoever
were
it
beating.
was.
Yeah, it was. I don't know who they played, but they scored a gazillion points each game, and
And it's hard to gauge. You know, I think a lot of teams don't want to walk out the gate. No, there was a lot of years where I remember teams going out the gate with these teams that were just huge teams. You know, I remember didn't Tennessee open up with USC one year or something like that?
in recent they've opened up with California. I think they played UCLA a couple years ago. Like Tennessee's
See, I've
opened
never
up.
felt like UCLA was ever somebody. But I mean, UCLA, USC. I mean, those are consistently
Yeah,
strong
yeah.
teams.
Yeah,
Consistently.
yeah.
So when we look at Missouri's opening games, right? They started with Tia and Martin. Is that really University of Tennessee at Martin? Is that
Yeah.
what that is?
Yeah, that's UT Martin.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's ignore that one.
Obviously, yeah,
And then they went and faced Wyoming.
yeah.
Which I've always thought, you know, if I was going to go to a school, you know, I think Wyoming would be
Yeah.
a pretty exciting place to go to school at. And I would have always pictured that Wyoming would have produced great football players.
Huh.
I don't know why. Maybe that's just my mental stupidity. But
They produced a Vanderbilt quarterback, and we'll go back to a little tidbit here. Austin Carter Samuels transferred from Wyoming to Vanderbilt.
there we go. There we go. And of course,
there you
here
go.
goes Michael right back to his Vanderbilt roots.
I'll give you a little bit of Vandy knowledge.
Good
Not
job
that
there,
anybody
Michael.
cares, but I have it up there.
Okay, so when we look at Missouri, right, and I mean that they're going to face off next week against a Georgia powerhouse team.
Yeah, I mean, you can say this is a test because it's Purdue, a Big Ten.
Is this a
Team.
warm up for Georgia? Is this a situation where, hey guys, look, we need to really hone in on our skills right now against Purdue? This is a
Well, yeah,
real
they better take
legitimate
it.
team.
Yeah,
And is this going to be an opportunity for us to really say, hey, we're going to be the best, and we're going to show that we're the best right before we go off and face Georgia? And it's not a big talk. Hey, let's say they run it up on Purdue,
mm-hmm.
or they get a big spread on Purdue. You know, I don't see a Missouri telling Georgia that, oh yeah, we're coming for you next or anything.
Yeah.
But
Well, they better get by Purdue first. If they're looking at Georgia, then they could get beat by Purdue. I mean, Purdue beat them last year. I don't know what Purdue lost or gained
they
as
better
far
have
as
been watching
talent.
the footage, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and you know, Missouri's not a team that can go, we're going to overlook another Power 5 school, albeit they're at the bottom of the Big Ten. They better not be overlooking them because they got beat last year by Purdue, and so they better take this serious and not be looking ahead towards Georgia, or they will get beat.
Okay, so now we're looking at the final game of the day, Texas A&M versus, what is this, Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah.
Louisiana Monroe seems to be one of those teams that SEC teams love to just, hey, come see us so that we can beat up on you.
You know, the only other thing I know about Louisiana Monroe is Duck Dynasty. That's where those guys live, outside of Monroe.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I wonder if they're Louisiana Monroe fans. Hey, guys, if you guys are, we'd love to have you come on the show.
Let me get an M&M.
You need an M&M for that one, Michael. While I'm sitting here trying to get the
it's
guys
being
from Duck
stubborn.
Dynasty to come visit Nashville so that we can have them on the show. You know, that's a good excuse. Is the M&M machine not working for you, or did they just go everywhere?
Oh my gosh.
Oh no! Did you really? You just got another message from the guys.
Next
At,
our show.
folks.
I didn't think it was going to get better.
Oh
Next
man, you cannot
the Duck
believe
Dynasty
this.
guys.
Oh boy, here they go.
week,
Here
Misty Blake and Peyton Manning.
Oh man, that's going to be a lineup for next week. I tell you, that's going to be
Man,
something.
We're going to have fans
Misty-
outside this studio.
That's right.
Just
They're all going to be
waiting.
here just waiting to see.
Man.
You are so full of crap, Michael. So full of crap. You know, Misty was a cheerleader. We get her in here, and then Peyton, she can cheer for Peyton, and then the Duck Dynasty guys can you know, give us some tidbits on their thoughts about the Louisiana Monroe game for next week. So
Yeah,
I don't know who
Misty's an
Louisiana
LSU
Monroe
fan.
is. She really?
Yeah, I think her they're originally from Louisiana,
Oh my goodness,
so I don't think she's going to be cheering Peyton.
she'll be cheering Louisiana Monroe, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious.
Louisiana's in Monroe. I mean, Monroe's in Louisiana. Monroe, that's where they're at. Monroe, Louisiana.
So do we even have a spread on that game?
Yeah, we do. It's not exciting. It's 26 points.
26. That seems kind of small, actually. Does it feel that way to you? I feel like
Ah.
Texas A&M should be putting on more than 20-something points.
Well, they're coming off the loss. I think they cover. They're coming off the loss to Clemson, which they almost pulled that win off. So I think Texas A&M's right there.
I mean,
Jimbo
Clemson,
Fisher should
Clemson's
have
a
them
pretty
ready.
strong team, right?
Mm-hmm. They were.
But Jimbo Fisher's
I think
your
they're number
boy, isn't
2.
he? He's your boy, isn't he?
Nah, Jimbo Fisher? I don't think so. But, Jimbo, if you're free next Saturday morning, you got an invite to do this show.
Something tells me Jimbo's not going to be free. I suspect he's
he
going
may
to
have a
be.
game.
He's going to be trying to get together his Texas A&M team to face off.
Bring the team by. They're welcome, too.
I'm sure they are, and I'm sure that they're going to be like, yeah, right. We've got. We are in what conference? The SEC, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and so when we talk about Texas A&M, speaking of, right now it's La Monroe, but guess what? Next week is the big game for them, and they.
Is it Alabama?
They're not. I don't know that they're going to be able to take on an Alabama and win, but you've definitely got to use that as a prep because you are going to end the season with Mississippi State, Auburn, and LSU.
Yeah, I mean the West is tough.
And you're talking
tough.
about, man. I mean, and I don't. There's no question when you're on that side of the conference right now. If you're getting a win against anybody in the conference on your side, then you're in a strong coaching position.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't. That now, you look at our side of the conference where we're talking about Tennessee and Florida and Vanderbilt. If you don't show up some multiple wins, then you're really going to be looking at. I would say, you're going to be looking at questions. People are going to ask questions.
Oh,
and talk is going to be.
Yeah.
But if you're on Alabama's side, and you put a win against everybody on your side of the conference, or one anybody. You're.
I would hope the ADs that have these football coaches in the West here in the West Division, surely like a loss to LSU, Auburn, Alabama, of course. I mean, like that, you don't panic.
Right.
I mean, that's expected.
You're not freaking out.
Yeah. And you got to give a couple years. That's like, no big deal. We got to get them next year. Now, if you're continually, after 4 years, you hadn't pulled a win against any of those, yeah, you're probably going. But one loss here or there to one of those teams, no panic. I would hope the AD.
Well, and that's the results. That's the results of why we've got coaches moving from that side of the conference to the other side of the conference. Candidly, right? I mean, when you say, well, okay, I did something on this side of the conference, and then the other side of the conference is like, please come over here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, I think money probably played a part, but I mean, you got Jimbo Fisher coming from Florida State going, I'll go to the West. Let's see what we can do.
Let's see what we can do.
Yeah. And he probably can. I don't know, but.
But now he gets a chance every year to get them a run for their money.
Yeah. And money may have made him go there. I don't know. They paid him pretty well, but I would like to think too. You're that kind of coach that's won national championships. He wants to probably go. I can beat Saban. Bring it on. And to be that good, you got to have some of that confidence. You got to be like that a little bit. You can't be scared.
Welcome to the SEC, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So speaking of, that brings us, I believe, to the end of our show. Did you already pick that spread on that one there, Michael?
Yeah, I'm going to take Texas A&M. I think they're decent. I don't think they have anything for Alabama, but I think they cover 26.
Well, as you guys know, this is SEC Football Review coming to you from high atop Scott Social Media Studios in the beautiful Cedar City, right outside of Nashville's Music City. Thank you very much, folks, for watching.
It's been fun.